Sauropods from North America. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel where we rank dinosaurs. Yes, that is what the name means. So today we're going to be talking about an insane group, sauropods. We've done a video on them, but endemic from this time North America. So yeah, sauropods have an insane history in the northern hemisphere, this time in North America. Specifically the United States, where we have found a ton of sauropods. And may I say in the same formation, which means these sauropods lived together in the same time. However, we're going to be jumping a little bit around to see some that were not necessarily from the same formation, not necessarily from the same period. So this is going to be an interesting one. And a lot of the most famous dinosaurs are honestly North American sauropods. Your grandma probably knows some of these. So we're going to be starting with Diplodocus. So we're going to be starting with one of the most famous sauropods ever known, ever discovered, Diplodocus. So right away we can see sauropods in North America were friggin' huge. Contrasting with South America, which had insanely big ones, or really small ones, North America was very consistent in having huge sauropods. So most sauropods from North America are known from the Jurassic period, which is where Diplodocus hails from. So Diplodocus is known from being one of the longest dinosaurs. Not the longest. We're going to see some contenders later, but we can see a very long neck and a very long whip-like tail. And they were, very low to the ground. However, they were very long. And I'm going to show you a little model I have right here, where you can see, yes, the very long tail, which was very whip-like, probably not used like a whip, because there were some studies, believe it or not, that try to see if these were they could be used as whips. And yes, guess what? You could use your hands as whips as well, but guess what? You're going to break them. So they probably didn't use them. They just used their long tails as either signaling or, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. Diplodocus are such cool animals. They're incredibly big and one of the most recognizable ones. You've probably seen them in Walking with Dinosaurs, and one of its most famous portrayals. And yeah, Diplodocus is very famous. I'm going to say right away A tier for Diplodocus. I'm debating S tier. BAROSAURUS. So BAROSAURUS is another dinosaur from the same formation as Diplodocus, which is the Morrison formation. This is in the Jurassic, where a ton of sauropods lived. So BAROSAURUS is a Diplodocid, which means it was from the same family as Diplodocus. So we can infer that it had a very long neck, very horizontal looking. However, a lot of depictions make them look like they were like about to fall down, or their necks were like next to the ground. But they probably weren't that low. They probably hit a little bit high, because they still had to forage for plants that they could reach. But this just goes to show that this Diplodocids in general had a different niche to other types of sauropods in the same formation. Because what if they were what if they were all same in body plan? Which I mean, like they fed on the same things as the other sauropods. They probably would die out, because these things would eat insane amounts of food. And, BAROSAURUS is no exception. This thing probably reached like almost 90 feet and more than 20 tons. Just goes to show that, it's insane how the Jurassic had so many sauropods in the same place. So BAROSAURUS, not as iconic as Diplodocus, and I'm going to put a B tier. I think that's fair. Sauroposeidon. So, Sauroposeidon is a sauropod from the early Cretaceous. Now you're thinking, why is that so interesting? So, sauropods in North America had an interesting decline in the Cretaceous. What do we mean by that? Is that if you see the Morrison Formation or the Jurassic, sauropods were like the most abundant animals, like everywhere in North America. So in the early Cretaceous, we see Sauroposeidon. Sauroposeidon is a macronarian, which means it was the same group as Brachiosaurus and Titanosaurs. We thought it was more closely related to Brachiosaurus since, it's closer to them. But no, we actually found that they were more closely related to Titanosaurs. Titanosaurs, refer to the South American sauropod video, like Argentinosaurs and all of that. But yeah, Sauroposeidon is one of those sauropods that are in the contention from being the largest. Not because of weight, but because of how tall and long their necks were. This is some long neck. Like in the group where the long necks are the norm, these are super long necks. So yeah, Sauroposeidon is known from the early Cretaceous. It coexisted with a interesting Carcharodontosaurus. Yes, Carcharodontosaurus from North America. You might know which one. Refer to a future Carcharodontosaurus video. But yeah, we found trackways of Sauroposeidon. And what makes it interesting is that early Cretaceous sauropods were dying. Like, do we know why? We don't know yet. But they were in the decline, like hard decline. In fact, after Sauroposeidon, for the next 40 million years, there was no trace of sauropods. Until late Maastrichtian, where we'll touch on that. But yeah, Sauroposeidon is insane. I'm going to say it's not A tier. Although being an early Cretaceous sauropod, I want to put in A, but I'm gonna wait. APATOSAURUS. So one of the all-time most famous dinosaurs, sauropods, is Apatosaurus. Your grandma probably has heard Apatosaurus. If you talk to someone in the street and ask them to name a dinosaur, Apatosaurus is one of them. So Apatosaurus is a diplodocid, closely related to Diplodocus. However, very differently built. So you have the long neck. I'm going to show you, actually, with this insane-looking figure. So you can see the long tail. Yes, long tail. Arms, very robust. And a thick neck. That is one of the most pronounced aspects of Apatosaurus. Is their bones were insanely huge. They were so tough. They were so thick. They were like, how did this thing even maintain its neck up high? So sauropods have this thing that we discussed in our video, and it's pneumatization. They have chambers in their bones, which made them a lot more lighter than they probably would have been, because these things were like, I don't know how many feet long, like tens of like 20, 30, 40 tons heavy, and they needed a way to like not crush their own, like not be crushed under their own weight. So this big ass bones, heavy ass bones, they were pneumatized, which means they had bones, holes inside their bones, which made them a lot lighter than to probably survive. So Apatosaurus had a thick neck because they had a big bones, and yeah, this is more speculation, like the little spikes, because their necks, their vertebrae extended so long that they were like, what the hell? Why would they extend so long? What do they need that for? So they're probably, if you've seen giraffes fight, that was a good speculation of what Apatosaurus could have done, which is fight with their necks. So Apatosaurus, a sick ass dinosaur, honestly. It's gonna be an A tier. I love Apatosaurus. SUPERSAURUS. Okay, so we have another diplodocid from Morrison, and I'm not gonna lie, when I heard the name SUPERSAURUS, I thought it was made up because the super lizard, it's huge. But no, yeah, SUPERSAURUS is a diplodocene, Morrison formation again, like most of these Jurassic ass sauropods. SUPERSAURUS is in the contention for one of the longest sauropods ever. Longest things ever to live. since we found a very old specimen. What I mean by old is, well, we have a Diplodocus specimen that was around 60 years old. This thing was older than that. I say that because we don't have a specific age. They made some estimations, and it came out as 220 years, which I don't think it's actually possible, although everything is possible. But yeah, this thing was probably not that old, but it's one of the oldest ones. And so it reached its max size, which was insane, like 100 plus feet, which puts it in contention. However, it was not the heaviest ones. Heaviest sauropods are usually titanosaurs or macronarians, to be more specific. And yeah, so SUPERSAURUS, very long animal. It is less known than Diplodocus, so I'm gonna put it at C tier. I'm actually thinking about it. Do I like it more than BAROSAURUS? No, BAROSAURUS is cooler. Yeah, I'm gonna put SUPERSAURUS C. Somebody has to be in C, so it's gonna be CAMARASAURUS. Okay, guys, so we get to CAMARASAURUS, which is a macronarian, different from Diplodocids, in that their posture is much different. I'm gonna show you right now. I have a CAMARASAURUS right here with me. Not a live one, but CAMARASAURUS had a more upright position, kind of like this, you know, looking with a more upturned neck, shorter neck as well. So CAMARASAURUS wasn't that big. I mean, it was big for an animal, but for a sauropod, it was not that huge. It had a more boxy skull than Diplodocids, which, you know, it's much different. They had a taller one, like a box, so you can see right there. And yeah, they had the thumb claw, which is known from more, not basal sauropods, but sauropods that were more towards the Jurassic period, had these thumb claws, which towards the Cretaceous, they most likely lost them. We don't know why, but they probably didn't need them anymore. So CAMARASAURUS, I really like it. It's from the Morrison again, and what makes me like it is, well, the fact it has like a ton of species, like 5 or 6 different species. I can't name all of them. Grandes, Lentus. Those are the only ones that I know of. But CAMARASAURUS is, by being one of the smaller ones, it had to be a bruiser. Usually sauropods are so big, you know. What is this little ass gonna do to me, you know? But CAMARASAURUS had, you know, to toughen it out against this insane predators from Jurassic. From the Morrison Formation specifically, which, you know, we have the unhinged Allosaurus, the huge Torvosaurus, and the little Ceratosaurus. You know, it had to fight. It had to fight for his life. Also, if you've seen Jurassic Fight Club, you know CAMARASAURUS owns every single one of these. So CAMARASAURUS is one of my favorite sauropods. I'm going to put it in S tier. You might be surprised by that, but I love CAMARASAURUS that much. BRACHIOSAURUS. Now, this is one of the big three. I'm so sorry. One of the big 3 sauropods of all time. Top 3 most sauropods. So, BRACHIOSAURUS is a macronarian, so, you know, more upright posture. And yeah, it lived in the Morrison Formation with all the other sauropods from North America. However, BRACHIOSAURUS, the way you know it, it's been a lie. I'm sorry to say it to pop your bubble. Not that BRACHIOSAURUS was a real thing. Yeah, BRACHIOSAURUS was real. It lived in North America. However, we didn't know that much about BRACHIOSAURUS way back. So what happened? So BRACHIOSAURUS is a dinosaur, a macronarian sauropod that had cousins across the pond. So I'm gonna talk more about this in the European sauropods. That's a video coming. But the ecosystems were very mirrored. So what happened is that there was, for the equivalent of BRACHIOSAURUS, there was another animal that was very similar in Europe, specifically in Portugal. However, this was also mirrored in another part of the world, Africa, most specifically Tanzania. And I've talked about the Tengaduru Formation before in our Stegosaur video, but there was also a huge sauropod here called Giraffatitan. Now, Giraffatitan, back in the day, we thought it was another Brachiosaurus species. However, it is different. Very small differences, but it's different. So, Brachiosaurus, we didn't have a ton of it. Specifically, the skull as well. We didn't know what it looked like. So, guess what? We used what was closest to it, which is Giraffatitan. So, all the depictions you see of Brachiosaurus are actually Giraffatitan. I'm sorry. I know it's hard, but just, cope with it. Brachiosaurus is still awesome. It's going to go in A tier. We all love Brachiosaurus. ALAMOSAURUS. So, when I think of ALAMOSAURUS, I think of the Great Comeback. Because I was just saying in the Sauroposeidon bit, is that there was a 40 million gap, known as the 40 million gap of sauropods. There was no sauropods. There is no sauropods in the fossil record in that amount of time. Which is crazy because if you see the Morrison Formation, there's like so many sauropods. So you'd be like, what happened in North America? Well, we don't know yet, honestly. What my critical thinking, is that hadrosaurs were just that good in occupying everything. So sauropods were like dying, basically. They were outcompeted by hadrosaurs. So you would be thinking, yeah, well, it didn't happen in the South because, titanosaurs were crazy in the South. But then Alamosaurus shows up in the record. Maastrichtian, late Maastrichtian, around when T-Rex was alive, and when Triceratops was alive. So Alamosaurus is a very beautiful story of a lineage of dinosaurs coming back to North America, where it all started. However, Alamosaurus is a titanosaur, yes. It probably what happened is that some titanosaurs from the southern hemisphere, South America, some of them traveled north to the point where they crossed literally a continent. So, it was different back then, so it was probably easier than it is today. So, Alamosaurus, yes, I have it. I can show you right here. We do have some fossil record for the osteoderms that are known from titanosaurs, that we reconstruct titanosaurs from. So you can see the very long neck. I really like the way the neck looks. It's very thick at the base as well. So Alamosaurus is a beautiful story of sauropods coming back. So Alamosaurus is going to be a B tier. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm going to move things around. I'm going to put in A tier, and I'm going to put Apatosaurus in S tier. I just love Apatosaurus too. But Alamosaurus deserves an A tier for the beautiful comeback that it had. So, this is going to be for the North American sauropods. Hope you learned something new about sauropods, specifically in North America. And yeah, that was going to be it. Let me know what you think. What will you change? How will you put your own tier list? Let me know. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And as always, thank you guys.